Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So what I was explaining was that in India, when people talk to each other, particularly when they talk to people who are a little older or people who are maybe strangers or look elegant or higher class, and when they want to honor someone, they to the end of their name they add the word G, spelt J-I, G. You could try saying it, G. It's a little bit like, I think, the use of the word san in Japanese. So, for example, if Toshiro-san was in India, I would say Toshiro-ji. So in this story, that word G might come up from time to time, and I didn't want you to be confused or puzzled about it. It felt like a dream, and it also didn't feel like a dream. I was 36 years old, and I was standing by a canal on the south side of a town in northwestern Pakistan, India, in the area called Punjab. I knew I had to get to the north side of town where the river Jhelum, flowed. And I thought to myself, okay, I'll take the Eidgah Road, I'll turn right on Church Road, I'll turn left on the Post Office Road, and then I'll see the park in front of me and the river's right there. So I set off. And as I was walking, the buildings would shape-shift. One moment there were homes and shops, and the next moment there would be fields and mud huts and broken old fences. And then suddenly a beauty care salon or a tractor repair shop would appear, and all the buildings would get sharp edges again. They were no longer rounded. And this kept happening as I was walking. I passed the Lion's Gate, and it was looking really old. But there on the Lion's Gate was a carving of Alif. Alif is the first letter of the Arabic alphabet, and it looks like the number 1. So it wasn't a very elaborate carving, but it stayed with me. You see, because it looks like the number 1, Alif is a symbol of the one, and a symbol of unity. Because it is also the beginning of the alphabet and of the name of Allah, it is symbolic of beginnings. And you could say the origin of things. So all this thinking about Alif was going on in my head as I passed down the road, and the field opened before me, the park that led to the river, when over on the left, by the tomb of Haji Ali Sheikh the Afghan, I saw a figure wearing a brown patched robe and an ochre turban, and a thick white beard framed his dark-skinned face, dark brown skin. And I knew, I don't know how I knew, but I knew that it was Baba Bulle Shah. Now, Baba Bulle Shah is this great Sufi poet and teacher and guide who is, well, I adored him, and I was one of, millions who adore him. So as I thought of him there, I thought, my God, Alif. He wrote this beautiful couplet, which goes, Bas kari ho yaar, ilmo bas kari. Ik alif da darkar, ilmo bas kari. Stop, my friend. Stop with all this knowledge. All you need is one Alif, the beginning. Bas kari ho yaar, ilmo bas kari ho yaar. Bas kari ho yaar, ilmo Bas kari hoya. I ran to where he was. And when I got to him, I bent down to touch his feet. As I bent to touch his feet, my knees buckled and I couldn't get up. And I didn't want to get up. It's like looking all your life for a tree whose shade you want. And when you get under it, you don't want to get up. He reached down and helped me up. Kiran beta, how are you? And I was stammering, I was shaking. I said, Babaji, how are you here? Why? And he says, Kiran beta, Kiran my son, you were remembering me. Also, I have work here. So I thought it would be a good chance for us to meet. And then he shook his head in a strange way, and suddenly the scene shifted, and we were by the village school. And I was wearing shorts and hat number 2. Babaji looked a little different. He looked a little stern. And facing us was an old, smallish man wearing steel-rimmed glasses and looking like this. And Babaji greeted him. Masterji, how are you? So wonderful to see you. Allah be praised. You're looking strong. Masterji said, who was that? Huh? Do I know you? Baba said, Masterji, it's Bulla. Abdullah Shah, your old student. Abdullah? Bulla Shah? Oh, yes, you are older. But yes, it is you. You are the boy that yes? And Babaji said, yes, Masterji, I am the student that you threw out of school because I couldn't learn anything beyond Alif. Yes. Oh, I remember you, my dear boy. I mean, man, I remember you so well. I had to beat you. It was like you were possessed. Had to beat. But tell me, have you learned anything new? Have you learned anything more? Babaji was quiet for a second. Then he said, Masterji. Masterji means schoolmaster. Masterji, I have learned from you the power of Alif. Yes, you learned. But since then, what have you learned? You must tell me. Again, Baba Bulle Shah was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Masterji, since then, I have learned a little more. Then Babaji shook his head and the scene changed. And we were beside the river, beside the Jhelum River. And there, in front of the whole river, all along the river bank, was a big wall, quite tall. And Baba turned to Masterji and said, Masterji, why is there a wall blocking access to the river? Oh, you see, myself and some other senior town people, we decided that we need a wall because, these people from the north, these Afghan people, they're all coming here and taking our jobs and taking our land. So we had to build a wall. And I made sure it is a big wall, strong. But tell me, I have a meeting to go to. Tell me quickly, what have you learned since So Baba Bulle Shah said nothing. He looked around and he saw a little limestone rock on the floor. I think in his honor I'll change hats. Because when we shifted, I changed hats. And he picked up that rock and he said, Masterji, alas, I lied. I still have learned nothing other than Alif. Before Masterji could say anything, Baba Bulle Shah turned and he strode to the wall. And then, with a commanding cry, he said, "Ek Alif!" And he slashed with his rock, chalk, on the wall. And then he stepped back and he opened his arms. And everything was still for a moment. And then, with a roar of thunder, the wall split in two. And then it just crumbled outward, tumbling, falling, disintegrating, completely breaking, till as far as you could see on both sides, the wall was no more. I gave a gasp. Reminds me of that time. I gave a gasp, and Baba looked at me and he touched my head and everything went black. When my eyes opened again, Babaji had vanished, the schoolmaster had vanished, even the wall was not there. But the sign of the Alif was still there, luminous and radiant against the sky. I sat down by the river, I looked at it. Gradually it picked up dark from the sky around it as the sun went down. And then, even after all the light had gone, the dark shone through as more dark. And then gradually that also faded. And still I stayed sitting, because that the fire of that Alif was burning in my heart. And I've walked, many miles, many roads since then. That warmth is still there.